Welcome to the C3 Sports Podcast Special Edition. We are doing a Husker preview. Boys.
Was that music ever going to stop? Holy crap.
I was watching you dance. I got a little excited. We'll figure it out sometime.
Oh, man.
You guys ready to talk some Husker football?
What?
You guys ready to talk some Husker football?
I'm always ready.
Cale, is that a Husker hat?
No, it's a North Bend golf course hat.
There you go. Good old North Bend, Nebraska.
Number 2 rated course, something about public course and Golf Digest or something, like back in 2022 or something like that.
Nice.
Shout out to the old
clicking
Tigers
noise?
of North Bend.
It's me. I'm trying to get rid of this stupid thing on my screen and I can't.
Oh, I thought you were playing like Mac Brickout or something.
Well, gentlemen, let's jump right into it. Nebraska's got a couple shiny new toys this season.
Oh, boy. I couldn't be more excited. You talking about a dual threat quarterback. That's
in
like
a Dana Holgerson offense.
I'm just like, if this isn't Pat White in West Virginia, like that's all I got to say right now.
I'm excited.
Colin.
New O-line coach, bunch of new O-linemen.
That's the biggest piece, actually.
I agree.
When you really think about it, it's like you can have the best quarterback back there, best running back, doesn't matter. But if your O-line stinks, it's really all freaking moot point then.
Like when you're giving up 9 sacks in Minneapolis on a Friday night?
Yeah, thanks to that 40% sack rate.
But also like a mobile quarterback makes a mediocre offensive line better too.
Right.
There it is. Also there's a lot of truth to that.
I think the offensive line is going to be better this year, just because some of the pieces that they brought in, they obviously knew that they were behind on developing guys because of the last O-line regime. They brought in not one but 2 technically offensive line coaches. Brought in 3 transfers essentially to start on the O-line, and a mobile quarterback, like they went wholesale change.
Right. Yeah. So let's dive on in. Let's talk offense, boys. Dana Holgerson in his second full season. What intrigues you most about that?
That he's going to actually call the game the way he wants to call it and not handcuffed.
How often did we talk about that after every game last year? That was just like, why in the hell are we still running Satterfield's offense? Because we expected it when Holgerson came in mid-season 2 years ago.
Right.
But then when he was still having to do that, and then you kind of find out, obviously, the story and some things that were going on behind the scenes, potentially, maybe unofficially, with Raiola's pulling some strings and stuff with that. But
I don't know. I don't know that it was necessarily like Raiola's pulling the strings. It might have been a little bit of the Donnie Raiola run game scheme to things, but it also might have been them not wanting to change the offense, like that Dylan Raiola didn't necessarily fit with what Holgerson wanted to do.
You're right.
And for that whole conversation, go listen to our podcast from yesterday.
Because if you talk about, or if you look back at like Dana Holgerson, Houston offenses, West Virginia offenses, Oklahoma State offenses, he never really had a statue quarterback.
Right.
Like a pure pocket passer quarterback. And like that's why they said, like, when Calandria, I read this the other day actually, when Calandria went in the portal, it was like 50-50 split, that like half of the staff wanted Kenny Minchie, half of the staff wanted Calandria right away, instantly. And then they were bringing Kenny Minchie in, and actually Calandria was supposed to be able to get there faster, I guess, or whatever. And they brought in Minchie first, and then Calandria had some other things in the works, and they ended up getting him in and brought him in, and instantly the story goes that he was the guy that they should have been getting all along. And
I found out today that Sam Levitt's first college visit was to Nebraska before deciding LSU. I had no clue he was even considering Nebraska.
Well, he about came to Nebraska when he went in the portal to go to Arizona State.
After Michigan State?
Yes.
Dang, I didn't know that.
I think that might be where your information. I don't think Levitt ever came in to Lincoln this go round.
No. Then I guess the on-3 guys are just idiots.
They might be.
Maybe. I mean, if you listen, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are a little misguided.
Right.
Freaking A, man.
Well,
we can. Who's the Illinois guy that I end up listening to every week, but I can't stand him.
Oh yeah.
He's part of CBS.
Yeah. I keep wanting to say Wasserman, but it's not.
No, it's Tom
Fornelli.
Yes. Fornelli is a turd, and I think Wasserman's a bigger turd. So thinking of Wasserman with Fornelli is, I mean, it's the same thing because they both sit on the same freaking category, which is turd. So
yeah, so let's talk quarterbacks.
Nebraska announced their starting quarterback this weekend.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Nobody's surprised. They paid him millions of dollars to come be their starting quarterback. Like, I don't know why that was such a big deal. Like, I don't even know why that question was asked at the press conference on Saturday. Like, what are we doing? Sean Callahan, specifically, the person who asked that question.
Yeah, what in the world?
Like, I mean, I know that you want to do your due diligence and act like TJ Lateef and Danny Calen had a shot. But in reality, like, I actually think the purpose of them bringing in Calandria and Danny Calen was so that TJ Lateef had that year where he wasn't forced to play.
Yeah.
And they could develop him more because, I mean, that's essentially what they wanted to do last year, but then they had to play him in 5 freaking games.
Yeah.
You know, so they essentially lost an extra year of Lateef, but with bringing Calandria and Calen back in and the new 5-for-5 rule, that last year really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Calandria
technically has 2 years, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I like what Calandria brings to the table. I think Nebraska's offense, we kind of alluded to this a little bit, but like in the red zone, Nebraska is playing 11-on-11 football now instead of 10-on-11. And that's why a lot of times you seen last year, and Husker fans would get frustrated when it seemed like 20 in, we would throw a fade route. Well, news flash to Husker football fans that don't understand football. When you're running an RPO offense like Nebraska was, and you get press coverage like you do inside the 20 and man blitzes, the answer to press coverage man blitz is the go route, is the fade.
Yes.
So that's why Nebraska was throwing fades. Now the answer is a true RPO where teams aren't going to be blitzing. They're not going to be playing man coverage because they have to account for Calandria in the run game in the red zone.
Right.
And actually, I mean, you have to do that with Latif. You have to do that with Danny Kalen to a sense. Like Danny Kalen's more athletic than Raiola was. Like, so it doesn't matter who's in the game for Nebraska.
Not sure you went out on a limb saying that. I mean, freaking
Right.
there's not very many quarterbacks that aren't in this day and age aren't freaking more athletic than Dylan Raiola.
But here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. Is everybody wants to, and I've harped on this. Everybody wants to harp on Dylan Raiola and not being mobile and this and that and blah 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 blah. He's not built for the college game. He's built for the NFL game. Like Dylan Raiola is a good NFL prospect quarterback.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I give two shits about the NFL.
Well, I understand that.
As I said yesterday 100 times.
But like people act like because he's unathletic, he's a terrible quarterback. No,
well, he is for in this time and day and age.
In college football.
That's what we're talking about.
So, anyways, back to because Cale can't not be proven wrong.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the old running or quarterback situation in Nebraska. What do you guys think?
Well, here's the thing. Let's just clear this. So, I mean, the whole reason that's why we started the idea of podding tonight anyway, since we're talking about Dylan Raiola. So, old JD Pickerel from On3 gives a stat talking about when Dylan Raiola was pressured in four-man pressure, non-blitz, I shouldn't say four-man, in non-blitz pressures, there was a 40% sack rate. So you're not even, I mean, this is obviously up front, but this is also issues. We talked about this with Dylan Raiola in the pocket, and his pocket presence isn't the same. And then conversely to Anthony Calandria, his sack rate in the same category of non-blitz pressures, and that means the quarterback had to be pressured, it was a 5% sack rate. Now, obviously, you don't have to have numbers tied to this to know that, like, Calandria's escapability is going to extend plays. Like, that was my point earlier. Like, you don't have to have a number associated with that. But, like, I don't know. Like, it's going to be a breath of fresh air to be able to say, like, oh, a lineman whiffed on a block or something, and Calandria has the pocket presence and wherewithal to get out of the pocket and extend the play rather than just go in the
I don't, hold on.
Just,
I don't know.
Nope. Did you hear that? Instead of just going into the fetal position, because I got to say it, because that's what happened way too many times. Just give your body.
But I think you're off base with saying that Calandria is going to have the pocket presence and awareness. He has the athleticism to be able to extend plays and get outside the pocket and avoid that pass rush.
That's like, pocket presence. That's wherewithal.
No, it's athleticism.
That's knowing when the pocket breaks down.
Calandria is a better athlete than Dylan Raiola. And
right, but you still have to have that pocket presence.
What I said earlier in our group text is that stat is bullshit. Like, throw it and shove it where the sun don't shine, because you can't be like, oh, Anthony Calandria was sacked 5% of the time on a 4-man rush or less in the fucking Mountain West Conference. Like, that's saying that the starting quarterback at Millard South, that's like saying Trey Taylor went to the JV game for Millard South on Monday and got sacked 5% of the time. Well, no fuck, because he's the most athletic player on the field.
Yeah, but that doesn't you're still missing the point, because you're still talking about
I understand the point. I think the stat is garbage.
It's not garbage, because it's still relative. It's still relative. It's just like what we talked about with Byron Brown at Auburn the other night. Like, just because, like, we can't get excited about Anthony Calandria then at all on that basis, and you can't, because of the same concept. He's never played. You don't know if it's going to scale.
Yeah.
So then if you're going to use that argument, if you use that argument in the G5, but not recently, if you use that argument in the G5 as a reason why you can't have that stat be thrown out there, then you can't be excited about Nebraska football because you have no fucking clue about freaking Anthony Calandria being any good either.
Well, you really don't. You really don't. I mean,
you know who Anthony Calandria has very similar stats to? Because I looked it up today. Josh Hoover.
Yeah, Calandria's got a turnover problem.
Yeah, he does. But I guess my point is that it's like if you're playing in the G5 or the Mountain West or the freaking Sun Belt. I mean, it's not the Sun Belt. Like I think that there's a clear American Conference and Mountain West Conference are ahead of the Sun Belt and the Conference USA. I think like that's a legit claim.
Yeah.
But I understand there's a huge gap between the Power Four, especially Big Ten and SEC.
I just think it's funny you guys are both explaining the same thing but arguing the terminology.
Well, it's better than just sitting here and regurgitating freaking stats and doing the C-SPAN thing. So,
right.
At least it's engaging.
Right.
I just think that, yes, I agree with Cale. Like, Calandria is going to be better in the pocket, escaping the pocket because he's a better athlete. He's going to turn the football over, and Husker fans are going to have to live with that because he's also going to make some like Taylor Martinez-esque plays where you're just like, holy shit, how did he do that? Like, how did he escape that sack? How did he make that throw? Like, holy shit, there he goes for 50 yards. But then he also might make that 50-yard run and then turn around and throw an interception on the very next play.
Right.
Because that's just who he is.
Yeah, but that's like Nebraska football in a nutshell for even when we were good. I mean, how many times did we lead the country in fumbles? Way back in the day, so I always think that it's like, turnovers are issues, but if you have the ability to play good defense on top of that and then also have the ability to create explosive plays, then a turnover really doesn't matter if you're talking about having 10 freaking possessions in a game or whatever it is. I mean, it could, but
I think Nebraska, like, offensively, I expect them to score at least like average. They won't score 24 points in every game, but I think I think that's what Husker fans should expect is them to score, at the end of the season, when you look at the stat book, like Nebraska's offense averaged 24 points a game.
You want to know how many points I had them scoring on the season this year? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's fifth in the Big Ten. 400
for total points or scoring average?
Total points, but I mean it's the same thing divided by 12 games.
Yeah.
So
372.
413.
Way off.
Well, that's 34 points a game.
There you go.
I don't think that scoring margin will be that high.
I bet you. Well, it's going to be inflated with the PUDs, so you get the
head start. But I understand that. But you also have Indiana, Illinois, Oregon, Ohio State, Iowa. They probably don't get to 24 points.
Boy, if they're not getting to 20, I mean, maybe I understand maybe Oregon and some of them, but like,
yeah, if they don't score 24 points against Iowa and Illinois, they're not winning those games.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that either because Iowa's offense is going to be awful. If we give up more than 24 points to Iowa, then that's a real problem too.
Correct.
Now, Illinois, on the other hand, I think is different, but
Iowa's could be 14 from defense and a kick return touchdown.
Still only 21 points.
Yeah.
Well, you got to assume their offense gets one touchdown.
And I also don't think that Iowa's defense is going to score the way they have in the years or special teams because their freaking special teams coordinator's gone.
Yeah. So running backs.
I have a hot take on this one too.
Is it your same take you've given the last 2 episodes?
Yeah, 365 days ago, Nebraska fans were up in arms, and everybody wanted to transfer running back, and then we had the Big Ten running back of the year that rushed for freaking almost 1,500 yards or whatever it was, 1,300 yards, and carried the ball 250 times.
Yeah.
Newsflash, that ain't happening this year. But it's not because our running back room's not good. It's because there's going to be multiple running backs that carry the football, carry the
Right.
load.
And
they're going to take those 250 carries that we had last year, and they're going to spread them out across at least 3 running backs, if not 4.
Right. Makai Nelson, Isaiah Mosey, and Jamal Rule. Hey,
Yeah.
Mosey looks good, dude. He put on some good weight since we last seen him.
I'm excited about that because he looks thick.
Mosey and Rule are both on the roster at 215 pounds.
Yeah. They look it.
And I think you're going to see Rule early in like short yardage situations. I think you're going to see and you're also going to see 2 of these guys in the backfield at the same time a lot. I expect Nebraska to have a lot of 2-back sets. Not with a fullback, Cale.
I'm okay with that.
Sorry to hurt your feelings.
I don't care about fullbacks. I'm a 2-back set guy.
You've seen it last year when a lot of times Nebraska would have Nelson and Mosey both on the field together.
Right.
And I think you'll see that again.
Johnson and Mosey?
Huh?
They'd have Johnson and Mosey together?
Who is Johnson?
EJ.
No, they would have Mosey and Makai Nelson in the backfield together last year.
Okay.
A lot of times, if one of those guys were in the game, they were both in the game. If Emmett was not in the game, both of those guys were in the game together in a 2-back set. And they were running some spinner stuff, and you might see that get extended with a 3rd running option in the backfield with a quarterback.
Right.
Because that spinner set stuff was fun.
All right, move on to wideouts. Or did you have anything else you wanted to add on running backs?
Nope. I think Nebraska's fine at running back.
So do you think is it more running back by committee? I mean, you're gonna be a starter, but I'm saying, like, is it gonna be spread out touches more than what we saw obviously a year ago with EJ being such a heavy workhorse?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a second part to that question. Does Nebraska still have 1,000-yard rusher?
Does Calandria count?
No, Calandria won't run for 1,000 yards.
He's not going to run for 1,000, but
I'm going to say yes.
Do you think it's going to be Mosey?
No.
Well, then I don't. No, I'm not.
He thinks it's going to be Rule.
I don't think it can be Rule.
Why can't it be?
Well, it could be, but I don't think it will. Do you think Rule's going to get more touches, or he's like going to be more efficient in his? Let's do this because of the nature of the offense. Probably should, in the way that college football is in general. Maybe not 1,000-yard rusher, but how about let's just say 1,000 yards total of receiving rushing? Do both of those guys get to 1,000?
Absolutely.
Do they both?
No.
If Jamal Rule was going to get to 1,000 rushing yards, does Mosey get to 1,000 all-purpose?
No.
That's crazy separation then by those two. From what in your head then?
I'm telling you, Jamal Rule is going to lead this backfield in carries.
I don't see it. But I hope I'm wrong.
I think Mosey might be 3rd in carries.
Because how high I feel about Mosey. Because of the small sample size I had from last year and knowing he put weight on, good weight, and the way he looks now, if Jamal Rule is as good as you think he is with my expectation of Mosey, then we're in a really good situation.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Is I don't think that Mosey's the second best running back.
Well, I'm not very high on Mekhi Nelson.
He did just fine in the bowl game last year.
In a 30-point blowout.
Bowl games don't matter, Colin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was doing just.
You said it last night.
No, I understand that they don't.
You don't give a fuck about bowl games.
I don't give a fuck about bowl games. But what I'm saying is, on the first 3 or 4 drives, Mekhi Nelson was pretty freaking good in that game. And I think that Mekhi Nelson and Jamal Rule are both faster than Emmett Johnson was a year ago.
Well, that's not that hard. I don't think Emmett Johnson was very top end speed anyway.
Well, wasn't that his knock from the combine?
Well, yeah, but you knew that going in like that. I don't even watch the combine, and I knew that. Like the two things I had against EJ was he got run down in that Iowa game, and that was just like, either way, he ran too high, not heavy footed enough, and no top end speed. Like I was shocked that he's gonna get laid out. He did. Like I just felt like he gets laid out more often and hard hit than he should because he never fell forward. It was always dancing and happy feet trying to make a cut and make people miss so much that he never put his foot in the ground and just freaking put a shoulder into somebody. And it's not his style, but it's like, dude, you set yourself up to get freaking smacked around.
Well, it's worked pretty well to make himself in conversation for the number 2 running back in Kansas City through 2 preseason games.
Well, because of the philosophy and the way they play their freaking – it doesn't – I guess I look at running back in a different lens than what maybe most people do, but like it's not a knock on him so much as it is more about like a safety issue for me. Like you have to be worrisome that he's going to get injured potentially, like more so than other dudes that put a shoulder in the ground or shoulder into somebody and get more compact because he's tall and long.
Okay, I got a question though. Isn't that philosophy put to bed? He carried the ball 250 fucking times in the Big Ten last year and never missed a game down.
That doesn't mean anything. It just means that there's the potential.
You just said that he's a bigger risk to get hurt. Like
that doesn't mean he got hurt. It doesn't mean that he will get hurt. It's just a bigger risk. It's a quantifiable thing. Like, dude, the way he runs, there's a higher probability of him taking harder hits than somebody that is compact. That's all I said. There's nothing about him that I said that was like that has anything to do with what has happened. It's about what could happen moving forward, and that's because of how he runs. That's it.
But
there's nothing in the past that can say like, well, he hasn't gotten hurt yet. Well, yeah, but I
also think I think this, Cale. I think his running style, he never gets hit square. And that's why you've seen him bounce off so many tackles and break through tackles last year and extend runs because people couldn't square him up.
Okay, but you're talking about college athletes that are far worse tacklers than NFL dudes. Like, it is not even close. The hits you take, look at what Reggie Bush did in the NFL. Like, when he got freaking smacked the few times he did, like, he never got touched in college. That's the difference. Like, he got hit hard. Then he never got touched in college.
So
like, I don't disagree with you, but I'm also like saying
so you could say that the NFL to college is kind of like Big Ten pass rush to Mountain West pass rush.
That's not what I'm saying, but I understand how you're spinning that. because amateur athletes are still amateur athletes, and they're not in the NFL programs and stuff where they're living life fully. Like,
Whether their only job is football.
yeah, I mean, like they're not doing other things. Like,
I also do, before we move completely on to running back or wide receiver, I'm also kind of curious. Like, I'm curious about the three guys after the front three. Like, if we see any of those guys, like I could see like a Quentin Ives or a Connor Booth or a Vince Genatone getting like short yardage carries because Nebraska was so bad at that last year. And I'll explain why, part of the reason why I think Nebraska was so bad at that last year when we get to
because they didn't have a running back that could run through anybody, because just what we were just talking about.
No, actually you'll understand this when we get to another position in this discussion here of why I think Nebraska was so bad short yardage last year.
Should we move on to the next position?
Yeah, wide receiver. Let's talk about him.
Isaiah Hunter really burst onto the scene for Nebraska last year. I mean, he obviously did well at Cal, but I think he was Nebraska's most productive receiver last year. You bring back Ja'Cory Barney, add Quasi Gilmore from the portal, and probably the most talked about guy so far in fall camp is Quinn Clark. Then Keelan Smith has, the past week, been starting to hear a little bit about him.
And now this week, coming out of today, you're hearing a little bit about a guy that has not played football in 2 years.
Right.
Making a little surge and stacking days together here, Demetrius Bell.
Yeah.
I actually think this is a take sure to go wrong right here. You want me to tell you something crazy that I think might actually be something that Nebraska fans see when we open up against Ohio?
What's that?
When it comes to wide receivers, I don't think Ja'Cory Barney is going to start.
I can see that.
I don't hate that.
I think it's going to be Isaiah Hunter. I think it's going to be Quinn Clark, and I think Quasi Gilmore is going to be in the slot. I actually think one of Quasi Gilmore or Ja'Cory Barney does not start.
I don't think Quasi will start.
I think those two, one of those guys doesn't start. I think Quinn Clark starts for Nebraska wide receiver.
I do too. That's a big body.
Yeah. 6'5", running 4.5.
Yeah.
Well, let's hold on. He doesn't have track speed, but he can run.
800.
He's like a 4.5 40 guy.
Yeah, but he's got track speed.
10.800 isn't track speed these days. Track speed's like 10.4.
Like the running back.
Yeah, like there's like a dime a dozen in the freaking track scene now that runs 10.4, especially wide receivers.
Yeah. Well, Nebraska at one point had 3 of them on the roster, all from the same class.
Well, Jeremiah Charles is still on the roster.
Yeah.
So isn't Vince Genatone.
That's what I was talking about. Vince, Malachi, and Jalen Lloyd, when they all ran the 10-4s at districts.
Yeah, but then, to prove my point, Cody, go look at the fucking Class A Nebraska 100-meter dash this year.
Yeah.
Like 10-8 damn near didn't make the finals.
Right.
And that's Nebraska. We're not even talking about Texas, Florida, California.
That's still fast.
Well, I get that, but I mean, especially at 6'5".
Right.
But then, another guy that we haven't even mentioned that is going to be on the field, like Nebraska's deep at wide receiver. I don't think people realize how deep they are. Like I was actually surprised that they brought in a wide receiver.
Yeah,
I really was, because a guy that we haven't even discussed is Cortez Mills.
Right.
And everybody, like, I mean, I just remember one play last year when TJ Lateef came in against Houston Christian and hit Cortez Mills on a deep post route, and everybody's like, holy shit. And then that was like
Right.
the only ball that he caught last year.
Right.
Who was that against?
Huh?
Who was that against?
Houston
Christian.
Oh,
You were probably mowing the lawn at that point.
The school with a Dollar
I was
General.
actually golfing in a fundraiser that day.
I also do think that Ja'Cory Barney played most of the year hurt last year. Like,
100%.
I still go back to that. Was that the opening drive against
Cincinnati game
when he got folded in half?
Yeah.
I'm not even talking, like, not even only his knee. Like, there might have been like some back and hip stuff there too. Like, that dude got crushed.
Right.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, there was a lot of talk after that one that was like, how the heck did he get up and like just
Keep
walk
playing?
off normally?
Yeah.
And there's another guy that factors into the wide receiver room that we haven't talked about yet, but we will talk about.
Yep. He can be in about 7 different rooms.
Let's move on.
Tight ends.
Yeah, tight ends.
Well, let's talk about him. Janarin Bonner.
Well, he's not a tight end. Hold on, he's not on the tight end list, Cody.
Oh, thought we were talking about the guy that plays everywhere.
No, we're talking about tight ends. He's not on the tight end list.
Tight ends: Luke Lindenmeyer, Luke Sorensen, Carter Nelson, and Eric Ingwerson.
I mean, you kind of know what you got there in Luke Lindenmeyer. I think Luke Sorensen could be a surprise to some Nebraska people this year. I think when you go back to like the beginning of Husker camp, and Dana Holgerson was basically essentially calling out the tight end room.
Right.
I feel like he was specifically talking to Carter Nelson.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
I feel like that was specifically about Carter Nelson.
I remember just thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no way that this kid's going to end up being what everybody wants him to be. He might have all the tools.
Well, and he's been hurt a lot, which doesn't help.
Well, but I just know that from what I was told by people up in that area where he went to high school, that he had mental problems in terms of mental toughness and handling adversity. Mm-hmm. And like that was voiced by so many people up there. Like it was almost as if there were certain people that we were talking to that just couldn't fathom that that's a possibility because he's a 4-star recruit. And it's like, you don't rate recruits based off their mental capacity to handle adversity. You rate them off the raw talent,
right?
You know, your skills. And so like
his raw talent jumps off the board. And
right.
Like,
I mean, that was not.
I think if he could get things together, like I honestly I think that he's a matchup nightmare for Big Ten teams. Like I also think that Luke Sorensen's that same guy.
Sure.
You know, like I think like this list should probably be like tight end and tight end because I think Nebraska has 2 different tight ends. I think there's the Luke Sorensen and the Carter Nelson, and then I think there's the Luke Lindenmeyer and the Eric Ingwerson, where they're kind of more like blocking tight ends, try to get them lost, leak them out, and make catches. You know, like that was what Lindenmeyer made a living off of last year, and he might make a living off of it this year with Calandria.
Right.
You know, like I still think back to, was that 2 years ago when we were playing Illinois, or was that last year? It was 2 years ago when we were playing Illinois late, and it was like a tied game down, and we were down about ready to score, and we freaking leaked Lindenmeyer out. After running the ball down their throat.
That's 2 years ago.
And we missed him.
Yep. Yep.
How often? I mean, I guess before we go to the offensive linemen, what's your guess, Colin or Cody, whoever? Like, as I don't know. How often will we be in sets that have 2 tight ends on the field and like 22 personnel?
No, we won't be. We won't be in 22. I don't think. I don't think. I mean, maybe short yardage you might see 22, but I would say
Is our wide receiver room too deep to even warrant anything like that?
you're gonna see more, and it depends on, because we got to talk about one other position before we get to the O line room.
Okay.
And how you grade that position, like what you're going to personnel that as, right? But I
There's
actually
one
think,
guy we're talking about.
right? I actually think that you could see some 10, like you might see more 10 personnel with one back and no tight ends on the field than you do 22 personnel with 2 backs, 2 tight ends.
Well, I only asked that question based on I mean, I got ahead of myself too, though, because I basically did the same thing that Cody did. I'm thinking of Janiran Bonner,
Right.
And like not Sorensen and Lindenmeyer, but like, what do you classify? Do you want to just move to Bonner? Because like, where do you classify him? Like,
then that's why I put it like and named this position specifically the wood position, because that's what they call Janarian Bonner is wood.
yeah,
And it's because he can do so many things. Like he's a problem. He's a tight end body that is as athletic as a wide receiver. And that's where I was going with Nebraska's short yardage game last year missed Janarian Bonner because it was the next guy on the list in this position, which is Caden Echternack, had to play that fullback role. Well, him and Danny King played that fullback role, and neither one of them were very good at it.
Right.
Like losing Janarian Bonner last year against Cincinnati, I wholeheartedly believe cost Nebraska 2 football games last year. Like I think he was good for 2 wins last year.
Yeah.
And specifically
USC and which one?
Specifically USC. I'm not off the top of my head. I'm not gonna like go this game right here because there probably wasn't another one that was close enough to be like, well, he would have made a difference.
Wasn't it Michigan where they got stopped on the goal line twice?
Early.
Was that the Michigan game?
Somebody, well, Penn State early. We got stopped on the goal line. Like,
right.
But that was a freaking
right, But if you like, here's what I say here, and here's why I say, you can't. I knew you were going to poo that because we ended up getting blown out. But if the Huskers go up 7-0, is there a little bit of self-doubt that creeps into Penn State?
No.
I don't
know. When's the last time anybody had any self-doubt when Nebraska scored first ever in the last 10 years? None.
Well, Nebraska's pretty good about getting to under Matt Rule of taking that opening drive down and not scoring.
Right.
Used to be the opposite with Bill Callahan. Used to score every first drive and never score again.
Right. Well, and both
the reason why I asked, because was it the Michigan game where they tried to bring Nelson in on 4th and 1 to jump over? Was that the Michigan game?
It was Harburg.
They did it with Nelson.
Oh, they did it with Carter Nelson too, though, didn't they?
Yeah, but wasn't that the Michigan game?
I don't remember what game that was.
Because that was the other game where they didn't score.
But they're not doing that with Janarian Bonner either.
Right.
But like Janarian Bonner is like, and this is why I asked Cale, like, how do you label him? Like, it would be actually interesting to know, like from a scouting department, if he is on the field with, two, if there's two backs, a tight end, him, and two wide receivers, are you labeling that 12 personnel? Are you labeling it, or are you labeling it 21 personnel or 22 personnel? Are you labeling it
I mean,
21?
if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm treating Janiron Bonner as a tight end H-back guy purely, and it's just like, but yeah, he's a problem because it depends on what
Because
kind of personnel you're putting on the field opposite of it, and so you
because
better have
because
you
if you
better have dudes that can run with him, because if you don't, you're in trouble.
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's a problem because he can come in, he can line up as a fullback, he can put his hand in the dirt and be a tight end. You can bring him in motion and have him tee off on guys on a kick out block, and you can line him up in the slot and run him on a post down the middle or a drag across the middle of the field. Like, he's a problem, and like it would be interesting to know how defensive coordinators, and like a lot of it probably depends on how you see him being
Okay,
used in games and in
so,
certain situations. Like, if it's 3rd and 1 and he's in the game, you're treating him as 22 personnel.
well, here's the other problem: is if you're a defensive coordinator and Nebraska goes tempo and doesn't have to change personnel, you don't get to change personnel, and they can line him up in a fullback, or they can line him up back out wide. Depending
Right.
on whatever personnel you just lined up in, you can go opposite the very next play.
Right.
And then you're in real deep shit because you don't have the freaking ref stopping and letting you change personnel because you didn't change personnel on the offense.
Right.
That's the part that's going to be nuts if they chose to do that. Now, I don't know if they will, but I mean, to me, if this whole discussion, if I'm Dana Holgerson and I'm not figuring that out, then I'm an idiot, because which I'm obviously sure they have.
Right.
So, like, you run a play with Janiron Bonner out wide, and they're in a true nickel, or whatever because of it, and then you line them up at fullback, and then it's like, oh well, gosh, now we got to put our nickel in the box. Like, that's not a pure nickel guy. Like, it's not a box guy, like,
Right.
or whatever you want to call it. Like, which guy do you
Right.
bring down? Your strong safety? Like, yeah, you got to get creative then. Like, that's a big deal, dude. I don't care what anybody says. That may seem simple to the casual fan, but that is a huge freaking deal in
And
favor of
that,
Nebraska.
and again, that's why I said he was a bigger missing piece to Nebraska's offense last year than anybody will.
But that does not. I disagree. I agree with you, but yet I don't agree with you to the level that you're stating it because of who was at quarterback a year ago. Because it's still 10 on 11. Now it's 11 on 11 with that added piece. It's way more magnified than it would have been last year.
Well, right. Correct. Yeah, I don't think we're going to disagree on that at all.
Oh man, you guys, I haven't been excited for Husker football in a really long time. Not in this way, and now I'm excited. So if we go drop an egg on the first, like, in that first big game, I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, if history repeats itself, we will. Let's talk offensive line.
Let's talk. Left tackle Elijah Pritchett, left guard Paul Mubenga, center Justin Evans, right guard Brendan Black, right tackle Gunnar Gatula, who's had a really good fall. Some other names in here: Preston Tuamau, Gibson Pyle, Sam Sledge, Tyler Knock, Tree Babalade. And then I'm really excited for I don't think he'll play much, but the freshman Claude Puma. That dude's a monster. And then you also have Jake Peters.
Well, and Grant Bricks is a monster too.
Right.
The one thing that I worry about with Claude and Grant Bricks is, like, from the little bit that I've seen from them, they look like they have very heavy feet, which isn't usually a great thing from offensive linemen.
Right.
Like, that they don't move their feet very quick.
Claude's also what? This is only his third year of playing organized football.
Yes. Yeah, and like this is kind of interesting, and like I wanted to talk about this. So we already talked about Nebraska brought in a new offensive line coach in Jeep Wade, beep beep, and Lonnie Tinsley from South Carolina, who actually, if Husker fans don't know, was fired as South Carolina's offensive line coach because they were so bad. But they brought Lonnie Tinsley is here as a run game coordinator, and Jeep Wade is here as the offensive line coach. They're both working with the offensive line coach, but Jeep Wade was the run game coordinator at Georgia Tech, whose run game with Hayes King at quarterback was very, very, very unique. Now, Calandria is not Hayes King, because if Calandria tries to run like that, he's going to be missing some time at quarterback.
Right.
Because he's not nearly as big. And like, I mean, even Haynes King had trouble staying healthy,
Right.
towards the end of seasons the last couple years.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think like some of the things that maybe those guys can offer in the run game to give Nebraska a little bit of a different look. You bring in Brennan Black, who's made a ton of starts in the Big 12. You bring in Paul Mbanga, who is an SEC offensive lineman at LSU, was really good for him. And then they brought in Tree Babalade, who I think most people in Nebraska just assumed that he was going to start, not realizing that Gunnar Gatula has started. Essentially, he's a junior and is basically a 2-year starter for the Huskers on the offensive line because he got forced to play as a freshman. He got hurt towards the end of last year, had to have a knee surgery, has came back for it. I think that Babalade was brought in as an insurance piece in case Gatula wasn't ready.
Right.
The other very intriguing person that I'm very intrigued by, like they've came out and they've said that, and honestly, the Huskers, like the coaching staff, kind of treated Babalade as the starting right tackle because they were kind of talking about Gatula playing inside, outside. Now once it sounds like Gatula is going to be the right tackle.
Mm.
But I think Nebraska's also going to play 8 offensive linemen at times. Like I think they're going to go 8 deep, or I think they want to. So Babalade is going to play, and we've seen him go into jumbo packages and that. The next question is like, who are those next guys? I would think that,
Canuck.
but I don't know that he is. You know what I mean? Like I think maybe there's some younger guys that have passed him up at this point. I could see out of that next group of 5 of Tumawa, Gibson, Pyle, Sledge, Canuck, and Babalade, I could see Canuck being the 4th or 5th guy in there. I'm not like I think Babalade is one, and I actually think Gibson Pyle is the next guy in.
Yeah,
I think Babalade can be the swing lineman, and I think Gibby Pyle is the next interior guy. And now, if something was to happen and Nebraska would lose Justin Evans, Sam Sledge is going to be the center,
Right.
more than likely. So I would say those are like, I think it's Babalade, Pyle, and then I think it's either Sledge or Preston Tuamawa, or however the hell you say his name is. Like, because I think that Preston Tuamawa can be what they thought Gatula was going to be had Babalade been the starter. I think he can play inside or outside.
All right. Anything else on the offense?
The offensive
you guys
line
want to do you want to do defense tomorrow? It's been an hour.
I'm out tomorrow.
We can do defense at any time.
Right.
We can talk about.
I think we should. I think we should segment it into
Yeah.
offense and then defense at different times.
Yeah. You want to talk about the special teams real quick to end this up, like the last 5 minutes?
Go for it.
The last couple years, Nebraska's had to worry about kind of the kicker, but Kyle Cunanan kind of shored that issue up last year.
Yeah.
And it sounds like to me, going through camp, that Archie Wilson is getting much better. And with them bringing in Jack Willis as a snapper, like I honestly think the special teams are in a really good spot.
I do too.
It'll be interesting to see if they lose a step on special teams with a change at coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say we're doing everything that we did with Eckler, but it's a different voice. It's a different energy. I think that's part of why Eckler is so successful on special teams, is because he's also kind of a nut job.
Right.
Like nut job guys make the best special teams coaches and best defensive coordinators.
Right.
Every college football Saturday, who's the guy that's losing his mind on the sideline? It's either the special teams guy or the defensive coordinator. Like, you never see an offensive coordinator losing his mind on the sideline.
False. Will Muschamp, defensive coordinator. When he was at Alabama.
Yeah, I just said a defensive coordinator or a special teams coordinator. Muschamp is a defensive coordinator.
He said you've never seen an offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Like, offensive coordinators are kind of like the pretty boys on the coaching staff.
Cool
with
cats.
Toys. They got daddy's credit card.
Right.
Yeah, whatever. And like the defensive
They're sitting up in the box with a fat shoe in.
The defense
hitting up the O-line coach for a Zen.
Right.
Yeah. The defensive line coach is like the guy that's on the sideline bleeding because he headbutted one of his defenders coming off the field after they got a turnover.
Right.
Or the special teams guy is the one that the coaches are all running away from on the sideline because they just got a big kick return and he's going ape shit and coaches are running and hiding for protection.
Right.
You never see an offensive coordinator, and partially it's because the offensive coordinator is like, you got to be going to get you're always thinking ahead. You're not
right.
You're not in the moment. You're always planning ahead. So I think that's partially why you never see offensive coordinators like that, but like defensive coordinators, special teams coaches.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. And I just don't see Brett Maher being the guy that's out on the field headbutting people, but I could be wrong.
Pride of Kearney, Nebraska.
You bet.
All right, boys.
Alrighty.